What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Bel-Air Season 3, Episode 7. This episode is titled Black Lotus, you guys. Now, before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop checking me out on this date and then having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this episode of Bel-Air, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode opens and we see Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv as they are getting ready to head down to Mexico. So they're going with Lamarcus's parents. I believe her name is Annie. His mom's name is Annie. Dad's name is Lamont, right? So Ashley's going to be staying with Hillary, and Will and Carlton are going to be staying at the house. They want for the boys to check in with them every night. And so, Will's like, we got this. And they're like, we know you got it, but we also making sure that Jeffrey got it as well. So Jeffrey is going to be staying with them, right? So there was a ring at the door, and it was Omar. So Omar's coming over to tell Phil like the stuff with Yolanda. She's stirring shit up. So Will's like, I know Yolanda, like she's cool with Jazz. And Uncle Phil was like, we don't have a lot of time right now, but let's go upstairs to my office, right? So they went up to his office, and Omar has let Uncle Phil know that the protesters, they have now started chaining themselves to the bulldozers, and he wants to basically just fight back, right? And Uncle Phil is a little reluctant to it, but he did tell Omar, like, well, it is private property. And everything he's telling Omar, again, he doesn't want to make a move because it's peaceful. They're not doing anything besides trespassing. They're not doing anything harmful, right? So Omar's like, well, either you do your job or I'm gonna find somebody else who can do it for me. I was like, ooh, he's twisting his arm. So then we see Will. So Will went to go see Jazz with the new merch, and Yolanda was down there at the record shop, right? So Jazz told him, right now is not the best time. And Yolanda talked about the protest with Omar, that he's shutting it down, and that Will's uncle is helping him with that, right? So then after that, we move back over to Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, right? So they're in Mexico, and Uncle Phil is telling Aunt Viv, the job is done, but he's not entirely happy with doing this, right? He doesn't feel good. So then they were joined by Annie and Lamont, and then they met some friends that they met a few years ago at an Alpha convention by the name of Tina and Caleb, right? Now I kept looking at Tina, I was like, I recognize this woman from somewhere. Then it finally hit me where I knew her from. It was almost instantaneous when I finally figured out where I knew that woman from. That woman was a sex positive slut, and I'm. If you guys watch my Power Book 2 season 1 and 2 reviews, you guys know how I felt about her character on Power. That is Professor Carrie Milgram. You guys know I couldn't stand that character. But that is who Tina is. That is who Tina is. That's the woman who played Carrie Milgram on Power. Didn't like her then. I ain't gonna say I don't like her here, but I know for a fact I couldn't stand her ass on Power. Was happy. We still don't know what happened to her officially. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. So, Viv was getting ready to call Will and Carlton just to check on them, right? And Caleb and Tiana was like, girl, no, 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 no. You ain't calling them. You only call them in case of an emergency. Other than that, it's fuck them kids. We want y'all to say it with us. Fuck them kids. So they all said, fuck them kids, right? So back over at Charlie's, we see Jazz and Yolanda. So they're having a big like town hall, and they're telling everybody what's going on. That Omar is trying to buy the block back. And what they're doing is they're gathering resources for some legal help. They also want to put a halt to this construction so that way it can be on the ballot box so that way people can vote, against for or against this development. And I was like, okay, I mean, I hear y'all. I don't know if it's gonna go anywhere, but I definitely hear you. So Will pulled Jazz to the side and he was like, yo, Jazz, like I can talk to Uncle Phil and maybe he can stop this. And Jazz had to tell Will, it's like, Will, your uncle is only doing what's best for his client. He's not doing what's best for me. And so Jazz told Will, like, I want you to get out of here. Like, I don't want you to be involved in what's coming next. So then we see Will and Carlton. So they are getting ready for their night. They are planning for the girls to come over, right? So Carlton went and got some stuff from the store, including some condoms. So Will and Carlton were talking about this thing with Uncle Phil and Jazz. And Carlton, rightfully so, he's defending his father and not really wanting to have the conversation at the same time, right? Now we move back over to Mexico. So Uncle Phil, he's talking to, Caleb and Lamont about this situation with business and how Lamont, everything is riding on his business is riding on Lamont. And with the line, he's crossing the line so much so that he doesn't even know where the line is at this point, right? And then he also mentioned that, on top of business, he's having issues with marriage and stuff and things like that. So Caleb was like, you know what, let's order some rounds because we finna talk about it. Now we move back over to Will. Will went down to see Omar, and Will was telling Omar about Black Cess and how they're helping, people out in the community. And one of them happens to be Charlie's, right? And so Will is trying to appease to Omar to help Charlie. And I'm like, Will, that's not what he wants to do. His goal is not to help Charlie's. His goal is to take Charlie's, demolish it, and turn it into whatever he wants to turn it into. And I don't know why Will didn't see that, but he didn't see it. And in no uncertain terms, Omar basically told Will, yeah, nah, I ain't interested in that, like at all. And so Will ended up leaving, right? Now we move back over to Caleb. So Caleb is talking to Uncle Phil and Lamont, telling them like the key to a happy marriage. And they were like, listening to your wife. He was like, no, multiple orgasms. He told them that he was like, so y'all not on the V? And I was like, the V? And then I thought about it. I'm like, Viagra? He said he been popping them since he was 30. I was like, oh wow. Long time, huh? And so he said, the reason why they didn't make it to him and his wife to make it to breakfast earlier is because his wife paid for him to have a happy ending and she watched and enjoyed it from his masseuse. I was like, oh, okay. If it works for y'all, it works for y'all. Now we see Viv, Tiana, as well as Annie. They went to the pool, and Viv and Annie looking like, girl, do you see what I'm seeing? And Tiana was like, yes, it's the clothing optional side of the pool. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that they did that in Mexico, but okay, cool. Um, so Tiana told them that, she and Kate, because there was a man and they saw his butt, and she's like, I wonder what he's doing later. And they were like, you joking, right? She was like, no. And she was like, Caleb and I have an open marriage. She said, she has a little play toy. And Annie was like, yeah, a vibrator, right? I have one too. She was like, no, girl. I have a little 25-year-old play thing. And they were like, say, what now? And she was like, yes, Caleb and I are open when it comes to our sexuality. And I was like, okay, cool. I like it, right? So then Tiana took her top off because remember, this is a clothing optional. So Tiana took her top off. And then Annie was like, well, shit, she taking hers off? Shit, let me take mine off. Let the girls free. And so Annie took her top off. And Bill was like, well, shit, fuck it. Since this bitch is beside me naked and this one right here naked, Might as well join the club. So Aunt Viv took her top off, right? Now we move back over to Carlton. So Carlton saw Jeffrey and Penelope, right? Now remember, Carlton and Will are having Lisa and Amira come over to the house, right? So Carlton is trying to get rid of Jeffrey at every turn, right? He mentioned a Jamaican spot that Jeffrey likes to go to, and Jeffrey knew what Carlton was doing. So Jeffrey was like, you know what, Carlton, I'm gonna leave and take Penelope with me. But your guests, they better be gone by 11:59 p.m. and no shenanigans. I was like, okay, Jeffrey, you guys know I love Jeffrey. Now we move back over to Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, right? So Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, they're talking about what they heard from both Tiana and Caleb, respectively, right? And Viv says, well, maybe they should be, since it's just a 2 day, it's just a weekend, maybe they should be a little bit, open and flexible. I was like, ooh, I'm kind of here for it. So the girls made it over to the house, right? And they get there with these shorts on that says something, I love my sexy boyfriend or something like that. And they had matching shirts for Carlton and Will. I was like, okay, cringy, but okay, cute, I guess. So there was a knock at there was somebody at the door. It was Zaire. So Zaire is the young man that works at the pool, not at the pool, at the country club with Will and them, right? So Zaire showed up and he had Jackie with him. I was like, fuck. I was like, this ain't going well. So Zaire said the reason why he brought Jackie is because the young lady, I guess he was talking to, it fell through, and he and Jackie had just gotten off work at the same time, so they both decided to come, right? So Lisa took this moment to apologize to Jackie. And Jackie was like, if I were you, I would have checked me too, right? And then Amira has an issue with Jackie, and I'm not understanding Amira's issue with Jackie. I get that you are now cool with Lisa, but girl, wait till you find out the real Lisa. But because you mad at Jackie and you don't even know anything about Jackie. Okay, neither here nor there. So we moved back over to Jeffrey and Penelope, right? So they went out, and she told him that she appreciates the loyalty to the Banks family and his special relationship with the boys. So she asked him if it gets lonely and if he's dated other women. He says he's had friends, but none of them stack up to her. I was like, oh, Jeffrey still want that whole thing back. I ain't mad at you, Jeffrey. So then we move back over to the house. So Amira decides to play a game of heal or reveal. So the object of this game is it's kind of like truth or dare, right? Either you pick truth or you pick a dare. So the object of this game is to, tell people what you're going through. If you don't want to share what you're going through, then you pull a card and you answer the question, right? So, and it's something that they played in therapy. Now, not in therapy, but in rehab. Now, again, I don't understand why she has such a big issue with Jackie. Is not making sense to me. It's kind of like she's taking on Lisa's energy and just transferring that to Jackie. So Will talked about, how for him, and this is them living behind the gates of Bel-Air, but they want to be down for the community, like with Charlie's. So he's having a conflict of like, I want to be down with people like my people like Jazz and the people that I grew up with, but I'm living behind this gate. And I get his conflict, but it's like you can't hold yourself back. You can't hold yourself back for other people. Like you have to do what's best for you. You can once you get to a certain point in your life, you can always come back and try to help people, but you can't stifle and hold yourself back just to be down with other people. That's how I feel, right? And that's kind of what they explained to Will. So Lisa went next, and so she says that, with her dad being the DA, right, that she's helping out more with her little brother than she expected to, right? And she's not really able to have time with Nairobi, so she's just going through a lot. And Amira, Amira, she's trying to come at Will about not knowing what's going on with Lisa, which I'll give her 5 points for that. But at the same time, you're a little bit of a hypocrite, and I'll explain why. Should I say it now? We can say it. I can say it now. Like, you're a hypocrite because you want to say that you're there for Carlton, but I don't think that you are. But we'll talk about that more as we get into it. Next up, we move back over to Mexico, right? So all the couples are sitting together, and so Annie just asked Tiana and Caleb, like, how did you guys decide to open up your marriage? So Annie says that they had therapy and they realized that monogamy was getting in the way of some of the freedoms that they both wanted. And so I think it might have been Aunt Viv who said, so are you guys able to sleep with anyone that you want? And they were like, yes, but we have rules. And so Uncle Phil, Lamont, and Caleb all got up to do their stroll because they all alphas, and there's some other guys there that are alphas, and I love that. Like, I want to do the grad chapter of alphas. I really truly do. Now we move back to the house. So Carlton pulls a question, and the question said, "Who did you lose your virginity to?" I was like, "That's an easy one." I was like, because Carlton's not a virgin. I'm like, he lost his virginity to Lisa. And somebody said it. It was Lisa. I don't know who said it was Lisa. Well, I don't know who said it, but somebody said Lisa, and he said yes. So Amira's face went down. I was like, yeah, you playing a messy game, and you didn't realize that your boyfriend had been with your good friend over there that you caping for. So Zaire was like, wait a minute. So am I the only person in this hot tub who hasn't hooked up with each other? And so Amir says, well, Jackie, Will, what about you two? Did you two fuck? And the look on their face was like, shit. And Lisa's face went down too. I was like, Lisa, girl, you cannot be serious with me right now. You had such an issue with Jackie. You knew Jackie and Will had the thing. So why didn't you think that they had sex? I'm so confused. And I know there are people out there that like with Lisa. And this is not to say that I don't like Lisa. It's not to say that I don't like Lisa. The thing with Lisa that bothers me is the fact that you were literally, it's so weird to me that you were with Carlton and then you're now with Will. Like, I'm sorry, I would never, that's not something that I would ever particularly do, is, you know, date my ex's cousin, you know, any familiar relationship to my ex. I would just never do that. Wouldn't even date an ex's friend, because I just think that that's weird to me. But neither here nor there. Move back over to Jeffrey and Penelope. So they are at the bar, they hitting it off, right? And he asked her if she needs to go back so soon. And she said, yes, she needs to go back for work. And so I think they were getting ready to play darts. And some guy bumped into her, and the dude was getting a little out of pocket. And Jeffrey had to check him in defense of Penelope. And Penelope was like, Jeffrey, it's okay. Now we move back over to the house. So Amira is in her feelings about Lisa and Carlton. Jackie and Zaire decided to leave, right? And so, Amira wanted to continue this conversation about everything that's happened. Will wanted to change the subject. And so Amira's like, do you always do that? Like, change the subject when you get uncomfortable? because he said she said it's like you try to avoid conflict. He said, and with you, it seemed like you like the conflict. I was like, absolutely right. So Lisa, this is where I kind of got pissed off at, right? Because Will was trying to get Carlton to calm Amira down, and he was like, well, maybe Amira's not wrong. And then Lisa chimed in and was like, yeah, with the whole Jackie situation, I really only apologized to her so that you didn't look like the bad guy. And I was like, I know you fucking lying. Like, listen to me. Like, when it comes to Lisa, I still don't understand why she was so upset about the Will and Jackie thing at the car show. Because you and Will were not in a relationship. I can see it if you and Will were dating, boyfriend, girlfriend, but you didn't want any labels. So that's kind of that ain't no kinda. That is sending mixed signals. Like, let's be real about the situation. So you can't get mad because somebody else may be flirting with him because you said you didn't want any labels because you got so much going on this summer. So those were your choices and your decisions. So you were 100% wrong to were you wrong to call Jackie out? No. Were you wrong to call her out of her name and she ain't done nothing to you? Yes. Like, that girl didn't call you no kind of bitches, no kind of hoes, no nothing. But you straight up called her a bitch out of, so you owed her that apology. But you said you did that so that Will didn't look like a bad guy. And I just feel like that's bullshit. But you guys can tell me what you think and we'll move on. Now we move back over to Mexico. So we see Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. So they're in the hot tub with Caleb and Tiana. So, I guess Caleb think that Aunt Viv is a little hot. So, Uncle Phil told her, go over there with him. And so Tiana so Aunt Viv told Tiana, go over there with Phil. I was like, I was like, y'all finna swing? Again, I ain't mad at it. So we move back over to the bar with Jeffrey and Penelope, right? So the guy at the bar went into the bathroom with Jeffrey and tried to check Jeffrey. I was like, dude, that's not the movie you want to make. And when I said that, Jeffrey throat checked that nigga. And that nigga was like, and Jeffrey, he went down on the floor in the bathroom by the toilet, and Jeffrey closed the stall door. I was like, Jeffrey, don't leave him in there. Please don't. Please don't do it. Please don't. So we moved back over to the house. So Lisa went to apologize to Will, and he was telling her, like, you can talk to me, like, whatever's going on with you, please let me know. And she just told him that she would like for him to check on her when she doesn't even ask, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Then Carlton, he also came in to apologize. So Will asked Carlton, like, where do you stand with this whole Uncle Phil thing? And, Carlton is still trying to see his dad's side. And Will says, maybe I have been riding the fence. He says, you know what? Handle your business. And so Carlton asked him, what does that mean? And Will told him, nothing that concerns you. I was like, Will, I know what you're finna do. So then Lisa and Amira. So Lisa was talking to Amira and basically telling Amira, like, you didn't have to go so hard at Will. And she's like, yes. She's like, we have to check on our strong friends. And I was like, girl, I get what you're saying, but I don't believe anything that you're saying is the problem, right? So Lisa said that, as hard as it was, what happened today was really good, right, for her. So she also asked Amira for some lotion, and Amira was like, yeah, it's in my backpack. So Lisa went down to her bag, her purse, to get the lotion, but found a vial of Coke. And she was like, girl, what the fuck is this? And I knew that I didn't say it last week because I don't want to come off insensitive, but I knew Amira was lying about her sister. And the anniversary of her sister's death, I knew she was lying. I knew she was lying. Now, this isn't to say her sister didn't pass away. Hell, who says she even has a sister? But that's not what I'm saying. I knew she wasn't being honest with that. I felt like that was a lie that she was using to garner sympathy because she was late to dinner. Then she used it on Lisa to garner sympathy from Lisa about having this cocaine in her bag. Like, you just use that for sympathy. Now, your sister may have passed, but I don't think that these dates are the anniversary. So she flushed it down the toilet and she told Lisa, asked Lisa not to tell Carlton. I was like, see, this is another problem that I have with Lisa. Like, Lisa keeps secrets, and I don't like that. And I'm not saying that anybody's perfect, but Carlton is a recovering addict. This girl has cocaine in her bag. You need to tell him that his girlfriend is not on the up and up. Like, I wasn't feeling that. And I got a side eye for Lisa. So, Aunt, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, right? They got out the hot tub. They went and had a nightcap with Tiana and Caleb. Then they went to their bedroom and baby, they were hot and bothered. And so they decided to get it in on the balcony. I was like, oh, give them a show, huh? Okay, I'm here for this. So then we moved back over to Penelope and Jeffrey, right? So Penelope told Jeffrey, you know what, maybe I can get some additional vacation time, and I can stick around a little bit. And so they got on the flow and they started, dancing with each other. I was like, get it, Jeffrey. I was like, okay, Jeffrey. I was here for it, right? So the end of the episode, we see the protesters. So they went to Omar's construction site. Now they were just gonna initially it looked like they were just gonna deface it and vandalize it, but someone else took it one step further and decided to set fire to it. I was like, oh, this ain't good. Y'all better hope there are no cameras that have audio on it. But you know what? It is what it is. So at the end of the episode, we see Will. So Will went back to his room and he had one of those. So the people, it was Jazz and some other people. They had ski masks on. I knew Will was one of the people that was in the ski mask. And at the end of the episode, we see Will putting the ski mask putting the ski mask in the box of stuff that he has from Lou, you guys. And that was the end of episode number 7. So we'll be back for episode 8. I hope to have it up sometime today. That is my goal, to get it up today, because it is the end of the month. And the way that these videos have been doing, I want to get a little bit of money from these videos. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, share the video, you guys. Until the next time, stay safe. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.